Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you for joining this morning. Today we will begin chapter 4, Parents of Narada Muni. So let's do some prayers and Mother. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giridhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giridhari Yashodanandan Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandan Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanchari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Om Gyanatimirasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Staptam Yena Bhutale Samrupa Akadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Gutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatham Vitam Tam Saji Sadhvetam Savadutam Krishna Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shiva Shakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavan Vishwari Vishabhanu Suti Devi Pranami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpato Brihascha Vasandhuvevacha Paditana Pavnebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Nama Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasthaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Dishitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasti Guru Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Mukham Koti Vachalam Phangum Langyate Grim Yat Kirpatam Vandeshi Gurundin Karanam Ramananda Madhvam Shitanya Ishram Hari Om Tassat Naram Namaskritya Naram Cheva Naruttamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jain Udurya Nashta Presha Dureshu Nityam Bhagavad-Sevayā Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Neshta Ki Hare Krishna. Right. Share. So, verse 1.4.1 Vyasa Vacha Iti Bhuvanam Samstuya Muninam Dirgas Starinam Pridha Kulapathi Sutam Bhavraj Shonak Abravit. So Vyasadeva Vacha said, iti thus, Guru Vanam speaking, Samstuya, congratulating, Muninam of the great sages, Dirg, prolonged, Satrinam, of those engaged in the performance of sacrifice, Vridha, elderly, Kulpati, head of the assembly, Sutam, onto Suta Goswami, Bahu Richa, learned, Shonakha, of the name Shonak, Abravit, addressed. So in translation, Vyasadeva said, on hearing Suta Goswami speak thus, Shonak Muni, who was the elderly, learned leader of all the rishis engaged in that prolonged sacrificial ceremony, congratulated Suta Goswami by addressing him as follows. So in a meeting of learned men, when there are congratulations or addresses for the speaker, the qualification of the congratulator should be as follows. He must be the leader of the house, an elderly man. He must be vastly learned also. Shri Shonak Rishi had all these qualifications. So Shonak Rishi was leading the sages. While Suta Goswami was reciting Bhagavatam, he was leading the sages. He was like the spokesman. And it's mentioned here that he was the leader of the house and elderly man. And Shri Shonak Rishi had all these qualifications, and thus he stood up to congratulate Shri Suta Goswami when he expressed his desire to present Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam exactly as he heard it from Shukadeva Goswami and also realized it personally. So he had just come back from this trip. It was a long walk, a long travel to get here in Naimisharanya. But they had great memory, and he had not only heard it, he had even realized a lot of realizations. He realized the knowledge that was presented through Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So personal realization does not mean that one should, out of vanity, attempt to show one's own learning by trying to surpass the previous Acharya. He must have full confidence in the previous Acharya and at the same time must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for the particular section is in a suitable manner. So shouldn't be trying to surpass the previous Acharya, because the previous Acharya who has taught you is now your spiritual master. So you must treat him as your guru, not try to outdo him or think I can do better than him and show that look, what I say sounds a lot better, I can tell it better. Now that the person was your spiritual master, you must give full respect. And you do your best, but not with the right consciousness, obviously. He must have full confidence in the previous Acharya and at the same time must realize such a matter so nicely that he can present the matter for the particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it, yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. This is called realization. The leader of the assembly, Shonak, could estimate the value of the speaker. Shri Suta Goswami, simply by his uttering Yatha Aditam Yatha Mati, therefore he was very glad to congratulate him in ecstasy. No learned man should be willing to hear a person who does not represent the original Acharya. So the speaker and the audience were bona fide in this meeting. In other words, it's coming through the parampara. No learned man should be willing to hear a person who does not represent the original Acharya. So it's not their own concoction, something they made up themselves. It must be coming down the parampara system. So the speaker and the audience were bona fide in this meeting where Bhagavatam was being recited for the second time. First Shukadeva Goswami and now Sutta Swami, which we are hearing, reading. That should be the standard of recitation of Bhagavatam. So that your purpose can be served without difficulty. Unless this situation is created, Bhagavatam recitation for extraneous purposes usually labeled both for the speaker and for the audience. So Srila Prabhupada, he's reiterating this message again and again, that don't waste your time hearing Bhagavatam for obscure sources. Make sure it's coming from the right source. And so he has given us all this as it is. So Prabhupada also mentioned that what is common between Vyasadeva, because Vyasadeva is mentioned here, what is common between Vyasadeva, Sukadev and Maharaj Dikshit? So all three are connected to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So without these three, we probably would not have got Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. At least, written down and then recited like that. Because Sutta Goswami, he is giving us second information, right? He heard it first and then he passed it on to us. If he hadn't heard it, we probably wouldn't have heard it either. Because he took it as his duty to pass on the message. So all three are connected to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Vyasadeva is the compiler. Sukadeva Goswami is the reciter, the original reciter, and Maharaj Dikshit, the original hearer. So qualification of the congratulator, also we're talking about Shaunak Rishi, who's congratulating Sutta Goswami, and the qualification of Shaunak Rishi I mentioned, that the one who's congratulating is like the MC in that gathering. He is the Kulpati, the leader of the assembly. Vridha is the elderly man, and Bhavracha, vastly learned. This was Shaunak Goswami. So something about personal realization. Srila Prabhupada explains that Srila Prabhupada presents the highest truth in a simple way that everyone can understand. This is for the next 10,000 years covering. So this information we are reading is going to be available for next 10,000 years. So people can take advantage. And then there will be degradation. People might not be interested at all in spirituality after that. We are covering and benefiting so many generations. You must know your audience to make it digestible. Knowledge means knowing something, but realization means going deeper. Or as our previous mentioned, realization means that you can use that in a practical way. But here it says realization means going deeper. I may know that I am not this body, but do I behave as I am not this body? So this is the standard example. This only happens by devotional service and pleasing Krishna. The Lord was pleased with Brahmaji and gave him realization in the heart. So unless we realize Sri Krishna, not just theory, but personal realization of the Lord, He is the source of everything, the land, the money, the clothes, the food, our families even. We are enjoying Krishna's property. So this is a realization we should have about Krishna, that He is giving us everything. Everything we are enjoying belongs to Him. We are enjoying in a state of ignorance. We need to realize that we can be far more happy by surrendering ourselves as servants. We need to surrender all our false ideas and ownership and come to the spiritual platform. So, this is like being repeated again and again, just to remind us that please take note and follow these instructions. Next. Shonakavacha Sutta Mahabhaga Vadna Vadatam Vadatam Var Katham Bhagavatim Punyam Yad Aha Bhagavan Chukaha. So let's do that again. Shonakavacha Sutta Mahabhaga Vadna Vadatam Var Katham Bhagavatim Punyam Yad Aha Bhagavan Chukaha. So Shonak Uvacha said, Sutta Sutta, O Sutta Goswami, Mahabhaga, O the most fortunate, Vad, please speak, Naha unto us, Vadatam of those who can speak, were respected, Katham message, Bhagavatim of the Bhagavatam, Punyam pious yat which Aha said, Bhagavan great powerful, Shukha Shri Shukdev Goswami. Shonak said, O Sutta Goswami, you are the most fortunate and respected of all those who can speak and recite. Please relate the pious message of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which was spoken by the great and powerful sage Shukadeva Goswami. So, Sutta Goswami was blessed by Balram. If you remember, he was blessed by Balram to speak on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So, he has the blessings of the Lord. Sutta Goswami is twice addressed herein by Shonak Goswami out of great joy because he and the members of the assembly were eager to hear the text of Bhagavatam uttered by Shukadeva Goswami. So they all want to know, what did he say? What did he say? They were not interested in hearing it from a bogus person who would interpret it in his own way to suit his own purpose. Like I said, put spices in and make it unnourishing. Generally, the so-called Bhagavatam reciters are either professional readers or so-called learned impersonalists who can enter into the transcendental personal activities of the Supreme, who cannot enter into the transcendental personal activities of the Supreme Person. Such impersonalists twist some meanings out of Bhagavatam to suit and support impersonalist views, and the professional readers at once go to the 10th canto to misexplain the most confidential part of the Lord's pastimes. Neither of these reciters are bona fide persons to recite Bhagavatam. Only one who is prepared to present Bhagavatam in the light of Shukadeva Goswami, and only those who are prepared to hear Shukadeva Goswami and his representative are bona fide participants in the transcendental discussion of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So it seems that Srila Prabhupada must have heard a lot of these bogus reciters. That he is one thing he was fed up of is bogus reciters and Mayavadis. He has got no time for these people because they give wrong information. This human life is so precious, and if you get stuck with the wrong knowledge, with the wrong information, with the wrong type of people, although you put your time and energy into thinking that you're doing something useful, something spiritual, something that's going to take you back home, but then you find that you're going totally the wrong way. Doesn't matter how far you go, if you're going the wrong way, then you're just going away from your destination. So Srila Prabhupada was very much against that people who are giving wrong information to the innocent people, innocent public. So 4.2, Srila Prabhupada says Shonak Rishi is in ecstasy. So he mentioned Sutta Sutta twice. So he's very excited. Shonak Rishi is very excited about this. They are all excited to hear Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada says, look how excited they are to hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Shonak is excited. All the rishis sages are excited. Srila Prabhupada said, can we be so excited about it to hear Bhagavatam? Like we're looking forward. Oh, this morning we got Bhagavatam class. Yay. So, let's see. Verse 3, Tasmin Yuge Pravritayam Sthane Vakena Ketuna Kutha Sanchoditha Krishna Kutuman Samhitam Muni Kasmin, in which Yuge period Pravrita was begun. Iyam, this Sthane, in the place, Va Okena, on what, Ketuna, ground, Kutha, where from, Sanjodita, inspired by Krishna, Krishna Devan Vyasa, Kritavan, compiled Samitam, Vedic literature, Muni the learned. So, in what period and what place was this first begun, and why was this taken up? From where did Krishna Devan Vyas, the great sage, get inspiration to compile this literature? So they want to know how Vyasdev, thought about doing this. Where was his inspiration? What made him write Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? So, because Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is a special contribution of Srila Vyasdev, there are so many inquiries by the learned Shonik Muni. It was known to them that Srila Vyasdev had already explained the text of the Vedas in various ways up to the Mahabharata for understanding of less intelligent women, Shudras, and poor members of the family of twice-born men. So even in the twice-born men, there are fallen members. Just because they are born in that family does not make them, exalted. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is transcendental to all of them because it has nothing to do with anything mundane. So the inquiries are very intelligent and relevant. Next verse. So tasya putra mahayogi samdrin nirvikalpakaha ekant mati anidru budho muda Ivijate. Tasya, so his putra son Mahayogi, a great devotee, Samadrik, equivalence, Nirvikalpakaha, absolute, monist, Ekant Mathi, fixed in monism or oneness of mind, Annindraha, surpass nations, Buddha, Buddha, not exposed, Muda, stunted, Eve, like, Iyate, appears like. So, his son was a great devotee and equibalanced monist whose mind was always concentrated in monism. He was transcendental to mundane activities, but being exposed, he appeared like an ignorant person. So, talking about Srila Sukadeva Goswami. So Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul, and thus he remained always alert, not to be trapped by the illusory energy. As we were discussing on Wednesday, that he didn't even want to come out of the womb because he was afraid of the illusory energy, because he was self-realized. He knew the danger of illusory energy. He didn't want to come out and get affected by it. In the Bhagavad-Gita, this alertness is very lucidly explained. The liberated soul and the conditioned soul have different engagements. The liberated soul is always engaged in the progressive path of spiritual attainment, which is something like a dream for the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul cannot imagine the actual engagements of the liberated soul. Well, yeah, I mean, conditioned soul, liberated soul, when it's mentioned in Bhagavad-Gita, that when it's day for the conditioned soul, it's night for the liberated soul, and when it's night for the liberated soul, it's day for the conditioned soul. And yes, I remember a friend of mine telling me that when he used to come home, when he used to go home late in the night, sometimes like be 3 or 4 o'clock, his father used to be going out of the house while the son was going into the house. His father, he was like a party in a Gurdwara, so he would go early, 4 o'clock, very early in the morning to read in the Gurdwara. So as father was going out, the son was coming in. So like that, what path are you following? And fortunately, we have managed to turn our life process 180 degrees. Now, we are getting up when we were probably going to sleep, and like that. So, yeah, there's totally different process between the liberated or at least, who try to become liberated. We are work in progress. We're trying to do something. We're trying to become devotees, not quite just there. We're trying to become devotees. While the conditioned soul thus dreams about spiritual engagements, the liberated soul is awake. Similarly, the engagement of a conditioned soul appears to be a dream for the liberated soul. A conditioned soul and a liberated soul may apparently be on the same platform, but factually they are differently engaged, and their attention is always alert either in sense enjoyment or in self-realization. So they're spending the time and energy but on different things. The conditioned soul is absorbed in matter, whereas the liberated soul is completely indifferent to matter. This indifference is explained as follows. So in the next verse, so just to mention, just to catch up on Shukadeva Goswami, he was a Mahayogi, he was a great devotee, Samdrik, Nirvikalpakaha, and EQ balanced monist, a Kantamati, whose mind is always focused on monism. Nindraha, he was transcendental to mundane activities. Guru Mura Iviyate, being exposed, he appeared ignorant. You remember that these children and women were chasing him, laughing at him, kids were throwing stones at him. They thought, he was like a very ordinary person. But when he arrived, where Maharaj Parikshit was, and all the sages, all the learned people were there, and he was given a lot of respect and adoration, and he was given a seat. And then these women and the children, they all got embarrassed that this was somebody special, because he wasn't wearing any clothes, and he it seemed like a madman, could say. So they thought he was some crazy person, and they were teasing him basically. But then they realized, what, because they're not that crazy. They realized that we made a mistake. This was some sage, and we have been throwing things at him and swearing at him like that. So what seems on the outside is not necessarily true. So what we see is not necessarily reality. So he was liberated, yet he was still alert of evolutionary energy. So what is Dave? Anyway, we discussed that. So living in this world, are we conscious of Krishna? Are we So are we conscious of Krishna? Or how to live in the world, actually, step by saying. Be conscious of Krishna and be cautious of Maya. Conscious of Krishna, cautious of Maya, and casual, you become a casualty. So don't be casual, you have to be disciplined. Always be alert, never take Maya for granted. Srila Prabhupada said he will never fall down, yet he prayed he should never fall down, just to be sure, because Maya is tricky. You can never be sure when it might attack you and how it might attack you. It can happen to any of us, it can happen any time. Even if, like Srila Prabhupada, who came, he was like a Shakti Vaishyavta, right? He had, what he did, no ordinary person can achieve, especially what he did in his last 10-12 years. No ordinary person can achieve that. He got empowered to do it. Otherwise, it's not possible to do what he managed to do. It's like just mind-boggling, just going through the list of things he achieved, and the people who followed him and still following him, and they are willing to die for him like that. So you have to be pretty empowered to get that kind of potency, that you can, you get people to have faith in you, just like Narada Muni, and we're going on to run Narada Muni. So to get that, you have to have potency. It's not possible that with the jugglery of words, you can get so many people to follow you. And even if you did, sooner or later you get caught out that your history. When Krishna is ready, he will reveal your history, and you'll be caught out that you are a dongi. And we see that happen. People fool the public, but then they get soon after they're caught out of their reality. But we worship Srila Prabhupada, and he was tested by the people here in the West when he came. Is he real? Because they already experienced other people coming here and letting him down, so that they tested him and realized that he was the real deal. He was the real thing, and that's why they're still following him all over the world. So thank you so much. We'll stop here, and like to hear from you all. Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Sureshi Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mataji.
I can't hear you at all. I don't know. I was just reading. I put my volume up on the phone. I don't know, something wrong with my ears, or I hardly could hear you this morning.
Oh. Is everybody else okay with the sound?
Yeah.
I it as well. So I was going to say, I put it is just me, because my hearing is not good either.
Okay, maybe I'm sitting too.
Yeah, I could. So I was just reading. I couldn't hear you at all. So I could hear. I could hear. I forgot the name. Praveen. I could hear Praveen well, but I couldn't hear you. So I will just. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, Mataji. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Okay. I'll say a few things with what I read, but I couldn't hear you what you were saying. And what I gather from these passages that Bhagavatam is essence of Vedas, and is transcendental to all of them. It is not an imaginary story like people write story on their own. They make it up. It's not. It's not. It's a proper. It's a story. It's a history. And the Puran, it is a Puran, and it's it's for the devotees of the Lord and the Lord. Shaunak Rishi, with 28,000 rishis in Nirimshire forest, congratulated Sud Goswami because he was the older. They said it's the etiquette to being an older and the leader to congratulate somebody. So he congratulated Sud Goswami for being so fortunate. Why so he so fortunate? Because he was present at the recitation of Bhagavad-Gita when Sukdev Goswami was reciting with many devotees, exalted devotees. So he was thinking that he's so fortunate they were not there to hear. So Sukdev Goswami, so they congratulated with him to him. And the speaker, Sukdev Goswami, and the listeners, they were all bona fide souls. They were not mundane talking about mundane things. Saunak Muni and all the rishis were eager to know the topics of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. They were so eager to know what Sud Goswami had in the assembly of the rishis. And it's always nice to be eager to hear Hari Katha like Shaunak Muni did. And yes, he wanted to know what Parikshit Maharaj had from Sukdev Goswami. And they were asked so many questions. They were so excited that they started asking so many questions to Sukdev Goswami about what he had about Lord Krishna. And ask questions, he get purified. 3 people get purified when one who asks question, when the speaker and the listeners, they all get purified. And one should hear the katha from bona fide Krishna conscious person, not the non-devotee, because you won't get affected. So the Goswami was liberated soul and always engaged in serving the Supreme Lord. There are 2 kinds of souls, liberated and conditioned. We are all pure soul, but then get conditioned with 3 modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. We have to rise above 3 modes of nature into pure goodness, and that is a transcendental. And if you want to get liberated in this life, in the material, from the material world, we have to be in the mode of pure goodness. So all the rishis and munis, they were all in pure goodness. They were assembled there, and they just wanted to, because they were doing sacrifices for 1,000 years for the welfare of well-being of people. But when they seen Sri Goswami, they were very excited and they congratulated him and then wanted to know what the topics about what was discussed between Sukdev Goswami and Radha Parikshit. So we are interested in reading. If you read the Bhagavad, you get the same result. Like it's a conversation between Sukdev Goswami and Radha Parikshit. So we are doing the same thing, like we are asking question and answers in the Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks so much. Yeah, these sages, they made it the life and soul. It's like, we have like the great nations meetings now on issues like this was a gathering where they really wanted to help the world because Mataji was here. They wanted to help and save humanity, save spirituality. So they're really excited to hear, relish, and also get information that would help mankind. So thank you so much. Kiran Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Yes, as you get older, the hearing starts fading as well. So, but I could hear you, but it was at a bit of a distance. But if you're a genuine aspirant to want to know the knowledge, you'll hear it loud and clear in your ears and in your heart and in your mind. And I think again, this start of this 4th chapter, there is a preamble before we get into the real fruits of the tree. By exalting and glorifying the Goswamis, the sages, and then indicating unequivocally that everything comes from the one source, and the one source is Krishna. And this is the beauty of our parampara and our wisdom, that we never forget the source. The sages knew the source was Krishna. And each time we start the day, our learning, we remember that the source, the Ganges, is the parampara, the sages, and Krishna. And the more we engage in this and deliver it precisely and exactly as these learned sages did, because we don't have that memory to recite it verbatimly. We have diminishing hearing, diminishing memories, diminishing cognition, and hence we have to rely on technology and other colleagues to help us understand. The more we imbibe this, 21 generations will be liberated. Wow. Not only are we doing it for each other, we're doing it for generations to come. But they ask the 6 questions, how will this benefit humanity? And we can see that once we respect the source of this Vedic wisdom, this very fertile ground, this very fertile tree of wisdom, then we will all benefit and we will take each other to where the journey takes us. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for that. Hina Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. There's some nice points that I picked up from today's class. So, firstly, about we're not proprietors. It's a reminder to myself that we're simply here to serve. We're not here to be the enjoyers of our senses or the world around us. There's a very nice point which I took note of around the life of a conditioned soul versus a liberated soul, and how very, very different. And you gave a nice example. So they're at almost like polar opposites, you could say, the life of a conditioned versus a liberated soul. Their mindset, their behavior, their actions can be very difficult for the other to understand them. And I also noted that we should not try to suppress the previous Acharya or Guru, and how important it is to maintain the original purpose of the purpose of the text that's being presented. So we need to present it as it is, the way it's, the way that Srila Prabhupada has articulated it to us. And I think for me sometimes it helps to quote Sastra, to quote, to remember shlokas, to quote those. It definitely helps, I think, in your interactions with other people, and memorizing their meaning as well. So that just again helps to keep it to as it is, trying to keep it to what's been passed down through the parampara. So they were the key takeaways for me. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is what happened with Bhagavad-Gita, that Krishna had to come and recite Bhagavad-Gita again, because somewhere, even though we have a parampara, somewhere along the line, the message got lost, as it says it tells us Bhagavad-Gita, that the message was lost, and although it's given to the sun god, etc., somehow message got lost, because when it goes in the hands of the wrong people, it will either dilute or get misinterpreted. So it's very important that the message is passed on as it is, without putting our own spin on things or own ideas into it. Should be, and we see with Bhagavad Gita even now that although Krishna has spoken the 800 shlokas, people, there's so many variations of Bhagavad Gita, because they decided to put their own ideas in there. So when somebody is reading Bhagavad Gita, they don't know, whether they are, they see that always I'm reading Bhagavad Gita, but they don't know whether that information is right or wrong, right? As far as they're concerned, they're reading Bhagavad Gita. So Srila Prabhupada called the Bhagavad Gita as it is for that reason, that there's so many different Bhagavad Gitas. Which one do you read? And like I said, you think you're putting your time and energy into something useful that's going to help you not only in this life, but after life as well. But if you take the wrong information, then that is unfortunate. Thank you. For me, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandapana. Again, in these verses, the importance of parampara is emphasized, and the right source. And I just remember, like Srila Prabhupada, he always says like it's like listening from a non-devotee is like having milk touched by the serpent. So we have to be very careful who we are listening to.
Yeah.
And the main thing for me today came to me is like, I want to pray to Shona Krishi, please give us that excitement as well. So we get excited to hear, because this life is for Krishna only. He's the only savior. And we need to get out of all this self-enjoyment that we are always want to do this or want to eat this. So we have to think of pleasing Krishna and Krishna only, not our senses. Hare Krishna, Prabhupada. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. So I just want to correct that Bhagavad-Gita is 700 verses, not 800. That's I think I've added my own 100 in there, which is wrong. Shouldn't do that. Thank you, Mataji, so much. Okay. Suresh Prabhu or Mataji, would you like to add something? Suresh Prabhu or Jasmine Mataji want to say something? It's fine. You just want to hear. That's okay. It's still good. We'll hear from Acharya Gaurarai.
Hare Krishna. Yes, so this particular verses, they allude to just how, nothing that's mentioned about devotees earlier, is how important it is to hear from the right sources, but how easy it is to be confused as well in this age. In this age, clearly, we are easily deluded, unfortunately, and when somebody is trying to provide you with the absolute truth, you should appreciate that you how fortunate you are, and they appreciate that they are trying to be merciful in their own way as well, that they are trying to give you the message of Krishna. And that's that's a wonderful thing. Even in Vyasadev's case, he had written so many previous texts, and it was done with the right consciousness. He wanted to allow those bonded with the fruit activities to rise up. But unfortunately, that confused a lot of people as well. So this is why we're so grateful for Bhagavad Puran, because it clears the confusion. It's the mature fruit of Vedic literatures. So, and that's why also makes Shukadeva Goswami so special as well, because Vyasadeva had already created, written this Bhagavad Puran, which is complete in itself. It is the literary incarnation of Krishna. So, yet because it came from his lips, it became even sweeter. And so that's why we like in 1.2.4, we you go through the Narayana Namaskritya Ram Cheva Narottam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayavaduriyat. You offer your thanks to the personality of Godhead. You offer your thanks to Narayana Rishi, the sages, and then the goddess of learning, Mother Saraswati, and then finally Vyasadeva, the author. We have so much to be thankful for. We just need to take advantage of the resources, because while as devotees, if you keep doing devotional service, then unless something goes wrong, you keep being devotee unless you go back to Godhead. In which case, you become a proper devotee in Golok Vrindavan. But if something goes wrong, you can be diverted from the path of bhakti, and that's a dangerous path to be in, because, as I said, the conditioned soul, they have their own engagement, and if you're in that engagement, then you could be in there for a long time. So, when you're on the right path, just keep heading the right way. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yeah, what Srila Prabhupada has given us is something very, very sublime. This is why we have this. Was saying that we only done 3 chapters and we already feel the appreciation to Lord Krishna and Srila Prabhupada, that what he's given us, it's amazing. He's not only shown us what books to read, but he's given us the authentic knowledge, not just any knowledge of Bhagavad-Gita. He's given us authentic knowledge, and which is so. One thing is that we don't necessarily say that nobody else has that knowledge, and we are in Iskcon we're the best. We cannot undermine any other sampradaya. But as long as they tick the boxes, that are they coming in a parampara which originates from Krishna? Is the person who has now translated these literatures, are they bona fide? Are they following the previous acharyas, as is mentioned here in the verses, that we must give credit to the previous acharyas and not make up your own information, think I can make it a bit more better. Must follow the previous acharya, then the information remains sublime as it was delivered originally. So the information must be bona fide, the acharya must be bona fide, and it must be coming from a bona fide parampara. So these things are important. As long as that's happening, doesn't matter what sampradaya it is, we all respect it. But if somebody's making up their own thing just to please the public, or just to fool the public, make money, then that is wrong. Thank you so much. I think that's just you.
Hare Krishna, everyone. I just pray to Acharya Prabhu. He reiterated that I just pray to the Lord Narayan, the Narayan Rishis, and the compiler of the Bhagavatam Vyasdev, and also Goddess Saraswati, to give us the clarity in our hearts, to give us the clear minds and intelligence that can grasp what is being said, and also protect us at the same time, like it was mentioned, to keep us careful of the Maya all the time, so that we can stick to this path of understanding and learning Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We need so much mercy. We can look at ourselves from day to day, how we feel. Some days we are very eager to hear some things, and some days we are not able to give our own realizations properly. So we need the mercy from all of these higher entities, the Lord, which Lordship has created, to guide us, and of course the Guru Parampara, and also so that we can hear and try to assimilate what we hear from them all the time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks so much. And with regards to Maya, I was thinking that Maya can come in any shape or form. It can be in shape of friends, families, our attachments. It can be something simple as some movies or something that you start spending your time in those things. Your interest suddenly just develops, and you start going in that direction. This is why we're told that we should give maximum time, give priority to spirituality, because we can easily get misled, or you think, oh, there's no harm if I just do this for a while, and then you just get caught up into these things. Okay, we have to have some gratification as families. We have to enjoy, but we must keep it in check. That's the only thing. That discipline should be there, and everything should be done in a controlled way. All our Grasta life should be in a controlled way. We have to, as husband and wife, there has to be some way. We need to have some fun, especially with children. That they need to enjoy as well. But it should be done, everything done in a controlled way, and with priority. Krishna should be not in the background. It should be in front, and everything else can take place in the background. So thank you all so much for joining. We'll catch up on Monday and discuss more Bhagavad-Gita. Thank you for your inputs. It really helps me because we bring everything together. We all talking from the same Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, translated by Srila Srila Prabhupada. So that's nice that, you know, we are discussing, and what we learn from it, we will learn from each other. Thanks so much. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.